This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining us today is Andrew Bell, the CEO of Red Rock Resources. Thank you for your time today, Andrew. How are you?
I'm pretty well.
Yes, well, thank you very much for joining us. Of course, we're going to talk about the news release this morning, which is a very comprehensive update of the West African project and the portfolio there. It's quite a detailed piece of news, Andrew. I wonder if, first of all, perhaps maybe some of the highlights from your point of view, and then we can perhaps go into a little bit more detail.
Yes. I think in Burkina Faso, getting the contract renewed there with our partner and the license renewed at Boulogne is important.
Mm-hmm.
It involved some dealing with people there, including the government. And that's important because the Burkina Faso government has been, of course, keen to get rid of the French. Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso are moving as one on all of this, but they're not really just keen to getting rid of the French. Ideally, they want to get rid of all Western Europeans and Americans too, because they see these people as creating trouble for them, always asking too much, bringing irrelevant things into consideration, and not really, in many cases, investing the money and not helping enough with their security situation. So there's a kind of reaction. But I think we are sufficiently well served by our local staff and partners that we have good reputation, and we can operate there. So I'm okay with what we're doing in Burkina Faso. I think it's good prospects. And then in Bilbale, we've done some mapping. We've looked at the key areas, including the one we drilled before, and we've got some good rock chip results there. As you know, when we drilled, we got some very good intervals from one of our drill holes. From 20 meters down, we had, I think, 23 meters at 2.7 grams a ton. And with these rock chip results, including 14.7 grams a ton, 11.2 grams a ton. And so we're certainly going to be continuing with exploration in Burkina Faso.
Mm-hmm.
And we are looking at mining the alluvial material there in some way, because we think we can get a good grade from it. Our people will tell us that we can get 3 grams a ton with efficient extraction. I am just assuming, we've done other modeling at 1.4 grams a ton, and we shall just have to see, because we haven't done the test work to validate that yet, which we expect to be doing shortly. So that's Burkina Faso, as I say, a really good license, which we've always said, and good prospects there. And of course, we're near a couple of the major mines that have been developed in Burkina Faso. We're in various belts. In Ivory Coast, well, it's a very long process getting licenses granted in Ivory Coast. We had a number of applications in. 4 of them were near the capital, Yamoussoukro. And as people, I think, know, there are 4 big mines there, just right next to us. All the major mines that you might have heard of in Ivory Coast, probably. And you can see that on the map attached to our announcement. And it's taken a long time. We had 1 license granted or decree issued earlier last year, and 1 then at the end of last year. And we picked up that decree just recently. Having picked it up, some of the sampling that we've done, we can now announce. And so we have done that so people can see that we got at least little sniffs. I mean, rock chip samples and that kind of thing, it's not systematic. We know there's a lot of prospectivity in our license. We're on trend with major mines that, like, for example, one of them is planning to produce 200,000 ounces a year for the next 10 years and has expansion potential. That is the Bonikro and the other one that were bought recently by companies that got listed at the end of last year on the TSX. And so we've got critical mass at Yamoussoukro. We're going to get some more grants there. We've already been approached by 1 or 2 other parties, And there's a time when two other companies are going to be down there starting their programs for this year. And that's one just to the north of us, one just to the south, but basically on the same trends. They're going to be out there mid-February, so we'll take the opportunity to go out there and talk to them because we'll be starting some work there at the same time. But we are very open to joint ventures or partial sales or whatever in Ivory Coast because we can't do everything. And we think there's a great opportunity, and we have quite a number of applications there, all of which are good. And so it makes sense to joint venture or sell at least some of them. So that's our approach there, I think. So that's, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast. I'd say huge progress in both of those in terms of where we are now. Of course, helped by a gold price that's looking quite okay. And then, of course, moving from gold to copper, cobalt, we had this joint venture in the DRC, and we had to go to court and then to arbitration. That arbitration award was ready to be announced just before the presidential election. Then we just got too close to that election, within 5 days, in fact. And everyone said, look, we better just stand back until after the election, because we could be dealing with different people afterwards. Well, the inauguration took place last Saturday. There's an important meeting taking place today in relation to what we're doing. So I would hope that we would get that arbitration award imminently. And when I say imminently, I mean, days that everything in principle was agreed. I don't see any reason why that should be undone now. And that would be a major development for us because that's a lot of money. Of course, we'd be expecting $7.5 million as the award on the arbitration. And we also hope to unlock all of or some of the court award of another $2.5 million. And then having done that, I think we would go and pursue some other remedies we have in relation to that joint venture and the process whereby someone else took it from us. So those are the key things. Okay. I shouldn't forget Zimbabwe, because in Zimbabwe, of course, we'd have started exporting lithium. The lithium price is down in the dumps. It's been falling for over a year. I think, lithium has had a good run. Electric cars have had a good run. The early adopters have all bought electric cars. And no matter what governments and people may say, you've now reached the point where some problems of cost, range, operability in low temperatures and so on need to be addressed. These are just technical problems. When the Dreamliner came on, it had problems with its lithium batteries. The application of technology solved all of that. I have no doubt this can happen with electric cars too, but we have to face the fact that around the world, there is just a little bit of a pause on all of this. So we have a trading posture with our lithium, which means we are relatively relaxed about whether the price goes up or goes down, because we said we'd start off buying and selling because we found we could buy at less than the cost of producing. So why would we produce, which would also involve taking in heavy equipment? So we're comfortable with that. And so this is what the update was.
Okay, well, that's a good update there, Andrew. I mean, if we talk about Zimbabwe for a moment there, you talk about the price of lithium. What are your plans here? I mean, well, I guess I've got two questions, really. Where do you see the recovery, let's say, in the lithium price coming from, and in what time frame? And then during this interim, what are your plans? Is the project effectively on pause until a more favourable lithium price environment?
Well, you get different signals. We had somebody out there who talked to the economic advisor to one of the ministries who said, don't look for an early improvement in the lithium price. That was out in China. We also see some signals from the market and from lithium companies improving a little, and people talking about forward prices of lithium being up. So it is also possible that after the Chinese New Year, which of course is a couple of weeks, that takes out a couple of weeks. So from, I think, the 10th of February, there'll be about 2.5 billion rail journeys in China as people go to see their families, and they don't just go for a day or two. So everything more or less pauses because of the volatility in the price and the level of stocks. There was a complete buyer's strike for this before the Chinese New Year. So we'll have to see how quickly people start restocking after the Chinese New Year, because price up or price down, in the end, people need stocks if they're to produce at all. And so you'll have to see how long it takes them to run down the stocks and feel they should be buying, or to feel that they're never going to get a better price than the current one, so they should start buying already. So we think, anybody who says they know what's going to happen in a month's time is over optimistic. We don't know what's going to happen, but we're ready for anything, and of course we're not dependent on this.
And in the meantime, the update says that you are adapting to the volatility, and you are expected to the first delivery is expected soon. So are you continuing on with processing and shipping, albeit maybe at a loss?
No, what we have in warehouse at Beira Port, we would expect to deliver, because we're paying something to store it anyway. So we might as well sell it, take it to China, sell it, take, if necessary, a small discount, and just get that through. But what we still have ready, duty paid, freight paid in Zimbabwe, we will keep that because we can store it free of charge. And we don't want storage costs. We don't want demurrage. We want to be able to pick and choose when we put something on a boat, so that we can work out when it's going to arrive. So that we can mitigate our losses. At some point, we may just say, yes, we'll take everything over and we'll sell it, and we'll take our loss, and then we'll sit back and wait till better times. But that would get cash in. It wouldn't be a huge loss. But for the moment, our strategy is, well, let's wait and see what happens after the Chinese New Year.
Okay.
The beauty of having a kind of trading stance is that you are pretty flexible. The other thing, of course, about having a trading stance is you don't tell people exactly what you're going to do.
Well, exactly. But let me see if I can get a bit more information from you. I mean, do you know what your sort of mine gate cost is to get the material ready, and then an idea of shipping, so that perhaps investors can work out the profitability of the operation at the moment?
We don't have a mine gate cost. I know what the mine gate cost would be if we were producing, but we have found that we can acquire material at below what we believe to be the cost of production.
Okay, so you found it to be below the cost of production. Okay, I mean, it's just trying to work out what the kind of return is on the project there. If you're selling it for, if the current spodumene price is sort of circa $1,000 delivered to China port, it's then trying to understand what are the costs involved on there. Is that something you can share or not?
I think I know what the costs are from mine gate to China, but since anything I say on that will impact other companies and what they've been saying to the market and so on, I'd rather not comment at all.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'm sure when appropriate, you can release that information to the market. Okay, well, thank you for that, Andrew. I wonder if we can just circle back to the highlights you talked about there, Burkina and Ivory Coast. I mean, they're obviously the gold projects here, and of course, the gold price is still sticking over that $2,000 per ounce. I mean, what's the plans here with this? And generally, I suppose, where is the focus of the company in terms of activities for the rest of this quarter?
Well, one thing we know about the mining market is that we may have times when, say, lithium is very strong or when cobalt is very strong. There may also be times when you see really good opportunities in fairly consistently over in the copper market, for example, or if one were to find nickel. But you always go back to the two big markets, of precious metals, gold, and non-precious metals, iron ore. And compared with those two, every other commodity is almost a rounding error. So gold is the big one, and gold is also, we have a very visible price. The volatility is there, but it's restricted. And gold has the great advantage that if you get it, you don't have the big infrastructure costs to get it out. You can ship it out in a number of ways, and that's quite easy. So gold is a standby, and we are positioned in gold. We've always been bullish on gold. So there's never a case that we don't know what we could be doing. We can always do something on the gold front with our different interests. We will be paying visits to Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast and getting progress of different kinds there, whether corporately or on the ground. We are looking in quite some detail at a project to start trial production, trial mining of alluvial material in Burkina Faso, moving on eventually to semi-mechanized production. And the speed with which we do that will depend on a number of factors, but we think we can start moving quite quickly. In principle, we know that we would like to be doing quite a lot there, but
okay.
we've got some experts going out and having a look, and when they come back with their reports, we'll be able to make a full announcement to the market. Okay. Anything I said at the moment would be partial, and you wouldn't have, in inverted commas, technical sign-off, end of inverted commas, because I can't give that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you very much, Andrew, for giving us an update today. Andrew Bell, the CEO of Red Rock Resources.
Thank you very much.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.